Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew Beyond Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Sharna Southern. I am a loss mum, a mum to a rainbow, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma informed coach. I'm the founder of the International Institute for Reproductive Loss and Trauma Leadership and the creator of the Pregnancy Loss Recovery Method. In this podcast, I open up the conversation on pregnancy loss, breaking the stigma, and bringing you real stories and expert guests. Thank you for being here with me today. Let's dive into today's episode. So, in today's episode, I'm bringing you a recap of a training I delivered live this week inside my free community called the Mental Health Care Gap and Postpartum. It's part of something I've been running called the Gap series, where I take one piece of research, one blind spot in how we care for bereaved mothers, and I pull it apart with practitioners. I wanted to bring this one to you here too, because not everyone listening is inside that community yet. And this one, I think, matters. So here's a recap of what we covered. I want to start with the research because the research is unambiguous, but it's largely unknown in day-to-day practice. Within the research, the statistics we're looking at here, bereaved mothers carry about a 2.14 times increased risk of depressive disorders and a 1.27 times increase in anxiety disorders compared to women without loss. Women who lose a baby in the perinatal period have a hazard ratio of nearly 26 for postpartum mental disorders. And I want to explain what that number actually means because it's not just 26% more likely. If you lined up bereaved mothers next to mothers who hadn't lost a baby and watched what happened over time, bereaved mothers were developing postpartum mental disorders at close to 26 times the rate, not once, consistently, across the whole time researchers were watching. So it means that at any given point during the time researchers were tracking these women, bereaved mothers were experiencing postpartum mental disorders at roughly 26 times the rate of mothers who hadn't lost a baby. In the first 3 days after loss, 73% of bereaved mothers showed post-traumatic distress. By week 4, that's still 31.2%, alongside 53% showing depression and 62.5% showing anxiety at the same point. Bereaved mothers rarely present with depression or anxiety or trauma in isolation. They're often carrying all of it all at once, which is exactly why single disorder tools like the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale, built to catch one condition, misses the full clinical picture. And here's a line I keep coming back to. If any other patient population showed a nearly 26-fold increase in risk for a serious health condition, we would call that a public health emergency. We would build screening protocols around it overnight. And yet for bereaved mothers, this is treated as a footnote to a concluded medical event. This is not acute grief that resolves. This is a persistent, layered, and often invisible mental health crisis. From there, we walked through 6 gaps. I'm not going to give you the full breakdown of all 6 here. That's really a training in itself and what I went through inside the Gap series training. But I want to give you the shape of it. Gap 1, bereaved mothers are screened out, not screened in. The tools we use in postpartum care were built for mothers who went home with a baby. A bereaved mother can screen negative on those tools and still be in crisis. Gap 2, the postpartum system doesn't include her. The system treats loss as a concluded medical event and she disappears from care. Gap 3, her grief is not classified as trauma. She gets referred to grief counselling, which is talk-based, But perinatal loss is neurobiological trauma stored in the body and the nervous system, not fully accessible through talk alone. Gap 4, the tools don't exist yet in mainstream training. Gap 5, racial and social inequity compounds all of this, and the research on marginalized bereaved mothers is almost entirely absent. And Gap 6, providers are undertrained and undersupported, not because anyone's failing, because of what the system never built. She has not failed the process has failed her. The last piece we covered was the biology underneath all of this. Unresolved trauma from pregnancy loss can dysregulate the HPA axis, suppress the reproductive hormones a subsequent pregnancy depends on, elevate inflammatory markers, and disrupt the uterine environment implantation needs. Her body isn't betraying her. It's still responding to unresolved danger. So you cannot talk your way out of a biological response. She went to therapy. She talked it out. She understood every stuck. That's not her failure. It's a failure of framework. If you take one thing from this episode, I hope it's this. If you're a practitioner and you've ever sat across from a bereaved client and felt your training didn't quite reach what she was carrying, that's not a reflection of you. That's the gap. And if you're listening as someone who has walked through loss yourself and you've sat across from a professional who couldn't quite hold what you needed, I hope hearing this puts language to something you already knew in your body, even if no one had named it for you yet. This training is part of an ongoing series I run called the Gap series inside my community. If this episode resonated with you, the full training is in there for you to go deeper. Something new is also coming out of the Gap series conversations, something I've been building, so these conversations have somewhere to keep going. I'll be sharing more over the next little while, so keep an eye out. If this episode gave you language for something you've been sitting with, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message or leave it in a review. It genuinely helps this show reach the people who need to hear it. Thank you for being here with me today.